up? What is going on? It's your boys Jap. It's your boy Miggy. It's another fiery day for NBA hoops. We apologize if we weren't able to do a show yesterday with it being Wednesday and all. But we're doing a show now on Thursday. It's a special episode for each and every one of you, just to make sure that you're up to date on all the latest NBA action. So, one more time, it's your boy Jeff. I want to give a mad shout out to, and this is the main reason why we couldn't do a show for you guys on Wednesday. It was my mom's 60th birthday. It's what they call a life milestone, dual citizenship, if you will, with you being a regular and a senior citizen now. You know, getting up there in age. You age like fine wine, as they say. That's the theme of my mother. And again, happy birthday to my mom. She turned 60 yesterday. It was quite the party. In my experiences, birthday parties are never like that, but we somehow pulled one off. And mad shout out again to Sunny Q, by the way. Oh man, we just finished our first bottle today. Still so good. Always awesome when Sunny Q is around with her food. And to showroom.ph, again, for anybody out there looking for a home in the Queen City of the South, visit www.showroom.ph and visit facebook.com/theshowroomph for all your home needs. Migs, who do you got and why?
Oh yeah. I mean, I miss doing the show because it doesn't feel right if you don't do a show on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we're here now. That's what matters. And I've been binging Kim's Convenience on Netflix. It's actually a really good show.
Good show.
It's really fun.
I've been good on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like Derek used to watch it all the time. But Brooklyn, I've been pretty hooked on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So that's also a pretty good show. Andy Samberg, you gotta check him out. One of the funniest comedians out there. Super fun guy. Anybody else before we tackle? It's been a very intense couple of days.
Look at us trying to help Andy Samberg in his career. No? It's a
funny guy.
I mean, we're shouting him out on the show. I
love Andy
definitely
Samberg.
Gonna help him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now here we go. It's been a very intense past couple of days. Let's talk about the real quick. I know we talked about it earlier that we'd probably just cut to the chase with this, but I did want to cover it. The Suns and Clippers. It was a very dramatic game too. For all those who don't know, the Suns took a 2-0 lead earlier this week off what they're now calling the Valley Oop. It happened so fast that I think the Clippers themselves were stunned when it happened. It happened so fast that we didn't even have... So Derek and I were watching the game live, and we didn't even have time to react. The ball went in, and I was like, what just happened? It happened so fast. Like, the pass was perfect. The oop was perfect. The DeAndre Ayton just got it up about a couple of inches. The pass was so perfect to me that if he just Zubac's hand, the ball was right here. So this is again a testament to the line. Basketball is a game of inches. If Ivica Zubac's hand hits it by a little bit, that deters the ball because there was only 0.9 seconds left. So on the previous possession, Paul George goes to the line, misses 2 free throws, which I believe would have iced the game for them because on the when the next Suns possession ensued, Mikal Bridges missed a go-ahead 3 to tie the. That would have given them the lead. Or if Paul George knocked down those 2 free throws, it would have tied the game. I'm pretty sure Paul George, from now up until tomorrow, is beating himself up for those 2 missed free throws. Very tough way to lose a game. And then the Valley Oop happens. Now that's a really tough way to lose the game. With 0.9 seconds left, with a 1-point lead, you're definitely. This is where I was a little confused. If you're Ty Lue, there's only one place that the ball would go. Not really one place. More like there's one obvious place that the ball would go. Why wouldn't you shore up your defense in that space? There's only one place. It's the paint. It's an alley-oop. The Suns and coaches in the past have always tried to run that play. They didn't do such a great job of denying it because, I mean, why was Zubac trailing him? Why was he not in front of him to blockade the entry to the paint? That's what bothers me the most about that last play. If you're Zubac and Ayton is outside of the paint, let him stay and hang out outside of the paint. Why are you in a position or in a defensive position to trail him and then Booker sets a great screen, a damn near perfect screen to get Zubac off of Ayton for just a couple of seconds, literally milliseconds, Crowder throws a perfect pass. Ayton gets the oop. The Suns win 104-103. We're heading into game 3 with the Suns being up 2-0. Migs, real quick, just super quick. What? Because I thought I already gave my thoughts on what went wrong. What went wrong for the Clippers there? Because they did everything right.
I mean, no. I mean, not a lot went wrong for the Clippers except for those like, PG missed free throws, diba? But like something went wrong. Something went wrong with the game because those last 2 minutes took about like 30 minutes in real time. But the last 2 minutes of the game took about like 30 minutes in real time. All those reviews, like there was some confusion.
But they gotta get it right.
There was some confusion on which player should be on the floor. After that, DeAndre Ayton lob. I mean, what a great pass, no? He was Jay Crowder was in the corner, and
very
then,
hard pass to make. Super hard pass to make.
Like the only way to make that play work is with a perfect pass like that.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's not something. I don't know how you teach that. I mean, you just throw it right. Like you just throw it enough over the rim where you know only DeAndre Ayton could get it. I mean,
yeah.
But then no, there's been a lot of there's a lot of pandemic P comeback just because he missed those 2 free throws. But I mean those 2 free throws. But I mean he played a good game.
He played a great game.
I mean he missed 2 free throws and that was bad and he should have made them. But then if you look at those free throws, like the first one he just missed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of rolled around the rim and then popped out. The second one though, I think the second one really got him.
I think the second one got into his head.
That was a nervous miss, diba?
Yeah.
Those are jitters. No.
And he's he's normally a short-handed free throw shooter, so that was very weird.
Down. I mean, like it was such a great play by DeAndre Ayton that people forget that it was a career night for Campaign.
Oh yeah.
It's a great night for Campaign.
Hey man, here's what I'll say, Hab. So Campaign had what I felt was a Terrence Mann Game 7. He had the game of a lifetime. 29 points. I think the Clippers were just, okay, if there's one person who'll beat us, okay, let it be Campaign, and Campaign made them pay. Because if I'm just watching the game, there seems to be a very interesting scouting report on Devin Booker. And Pat Bev was screaming, yelling at whenever he'd be taken out of the game, what to do with Devin Booker. And just lip reading him all the time, he was saying, force him right. And I was like, why would you force him right when he's a right-handed shooter? It played so well to the Clippers' strength. So every time they forced him right, he wouldn't take the shot at all. I was like, that is so interesting. Like, Pat Bev must have studied every tendency Devin Booker has. And the one thing that he probably concluded was his best move will always be to his left. So they kept forcing Devin Booker right. Pat Bev would get up on him and really, they would angle him right. And you know how when you split somebody and then you force him to go one way? They kept doing that the whole night. Booker only shot like 5 of 16, I think. They have a great night. But again, thank God for the Phoenix Suns. Thank God for Cameron Payne having 29 points. Thank God to DeAndre Ayton for having 24 points as well. And I think he had like 11 or 15 rebounds. So both these guys had career nights. For the Clippers, I mean, two really heartbreaking games. They could have stolen game 1. And this one they had in the bag. It's just that it didn't pan out the way it should have. It was hard to watch. And to all the fans out there who are watching, I would be amiss if you come out again with the pandemic bullshit, pandemic P shit. I would advise against that because if anything, again, Paul George has already proven that the pandemic P is gone. You're seeing a lot of playoff P now with the way he's been playing. And I feel like he deserves a lot of credit for even the Clippers being where they are now, the Western Conference Finals. Nobody in Clipper history has gotten them this far. Nobody. Not Chris Paul, not Blake Griffin, not Elton Brand, not Chris Kaman, Sam Cassell. The list goes on and on of past previous Clipper players. It's literally Paul George. Not even Kawhi Leonard. Some people would say Kawhi Leonard. No. Paul George got them here.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's there were a lot of good things going for the Clippers during this game. I mean, they actually put Rondo on Devin Booker, and it worked for certain stretches, diba? Like Pat Bev is actually playable in this series, but I think
he had a bunch of big shots.
Yeah, but the thing with, I don't know, man. I don't know, Jaffa. Maybe I don't know if Ty Lue is like gonna stumble upon like another lineup here that will kind of work, because if you remember their first two series, especially the one with the Jazz, they played small ball because they
Mm,
found out that they do have an advantage playing small against Rudy Gobert. Now
right.
Rudy Gobert is still gonna be still a beast on defense, but then you could get away with like a Terrence Mann guarding
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert if he posts up, because he's not that type of basketball player. He's not that type of offensive threat.
Yeah.
But with the Suns, like
Wait, hold
DeAndre
on.
Ayton,
Wait, hold on. This is actually a very good comment. Big shout out to Joseph Carlo Villaruel. We were really close in grade school. I haven't talked to him ever since. We also went to the same high school. He's also one of the biggest NBA fans that I know. We used to talk a lot of hoops back when we were kids. This is a good one. This whole season has been surprising as fuck. The pandemic P nickname should be retired. It should be Pfizer P now. That is so gold. I can't even begin to tell you how gold that is. Pfizer P. Thank you so much, Joseph Carlo Villaruel, for tuning in. I just hope to see this guy one more time and just talk about hoops, man. I know this guy is one of the biggest hoops fans out there, and he tunes into our show a lot just to drop some golden nuggets. This is a very golden nugget for me here. But sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. You were
yeah, no
the
problem. Pfizer, that's clever.
Pfizer
But then,
P, that's good.
like if you compare DeAndre Ayton and Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton is leagues better offensively than Rudy
Right.
Gobert. And you
Right.
can't get away with playing small against DeAndre Ayton, because you know what he did to the Lakers whenever they played. I mean, you know what DeAndre Ayton did to the Lakers when they had AD and Drummond, diba?
DeAndre
He
Ayton
was
is a
still
lot more
dominating
skilled
the paint.
offensively.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, of
Rudy
course,
Gobert
yeah.
is Rudy
By
Gobert.
far.
They exposed something in Rudy Gobert and made him unplayable, which was he can't really
Yeah.
play the perimeter defensively. Offensively, he doesn't have a perimeter game to speak of. DeAndre
Aside
Ayton
from
can
being a pick
actually
and roll player.
shoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
apart from rolling to the rim. And if you take that out, DeAndre Ayton has a left-handed, right-handed hook shot. He can actually
Yeah.
shoot within 15 to 20 feet, 15 to 18 feet from the rim. So he's not a bad player offensively. And that's where it's starting to look like it's hurting the Clippers a little bit. So are we saying that probably a lineup with Zubac involved would be a lot better? Because Batum, but for all of Batum's great defensive prowess, and that's going out on a limb to say that he has great defensive prowess, I do not believe he can check DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton has had his way with him in these playoffs so far.
Oh yeah, that's the thing with this team is that, and you can't forget that they're still missing their
Chris Paul.
most important player in Chris Paul, diba? They're
Right.
still missing the guy who, before the regular season ended, people were still making the argument na, oh, he should be in the MVP conversation, diba?
But Migs,
They're still missing him.
Here's the counter to that. The Clippers are also missing two key guys, and one of them just
Oh, yeah.
happens to be in the running for the best player in the league title in Kawhi Leonard. I'm so confused with the news around Kawhi Leonard. The last I heard was that the doctors listed him as day-to-day because it's a knee sprain. But before, there were fears, growing concern that it might have been an ACL. Now that it's not, there's just no news at all with Kawhi Leonard. Is he coming back? Is he gonna show up for Game 3? Is he even doing shoot-arounds? Is he just in the gym shooting? Nada. There's no news at all from Adrian Roger or any of these inside NBA guys, and I'm just so surprised by the lack of coverage. If Kawhi, because it's right now, it's just looking like it's gonna be Paul George all the way, and I feel like that's a lot of pressure to put on Paul George because aside from Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Goggles Reggie has been great. Pat Bev has stepped up. I have not heard a complaint from Paul George at all. But I don't see them making it out of this series without Kawhi Leonard against a healthy, stacked Suns team. Chris Paul is such a difference maker. I agree. Devin Booker, he is a star, is a rising star. Should be a consistent all-star year in and year out. And then for the Suns, it's been a consistent theme. It's been these other guys who have stepped up big time. And some nights you have Mikal Bridges, some nights you have Cameron Payne, some nights it's DeAndre Ayton, some nights it's Booker, some nights it's CP3, or it could be a combination of either one of those five. But they stay true to who they are. They move the ball, they play great defense. Migs, what is the deal with Kawhi Leonard? The Clippers badly need him back.
Yeah, that's the thing, diba? The initial news was, oh, they're fearing that he might have like an ACL injury. And then next thing you know is that he's out because he has a sprained knee. And then so if it's only a sprained knee, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he traveling with the team?
Why?
Diba?
Why isn't there
Just
any news at all about him doing anything?
There's a media blackout on this, and then but
Exactly.
but the thing is, Jeff, but this isn't new with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, we never hear anything.
But it's a Western Conference Finals. We need to hear something, and we need to see him back.
I think the only news we've been able to find out is that apparently he has a newborn baby boy. Congratulations to Kawhi Leonard.
So is he out? Is he out? Because that's fine. I understand. But then come on, let's be real here. It's game 3 tomorrow. The fuck.
But then you're down 0-2 again, and then I get it. No, I mean, you've made it to the Western Conference Finals, but then you're down 0-2 again, and then I don't even know if it's logical for the Clippers to bring him back, because you have to claw. I mean, diba? I mean, it takes so much out of you to crawl out of a 0-2 hole, and then you have to win.
They've done it, man.
You have to win 4 straight games if you really wanna win this. If you want to win the series, I don't know if it makes sense to force him to come back if he's not 100% against a team that's been very good. Huh? I mean, I think we still need to remind everyone the Suns are the number 2 seed. You can't forget that they've been good the whole season, and then
right. But better have the Suns winning the series. Sans Kawhi Leonard, they have the Suns sweeping the Clippers, which I think they can definitely do without Kawhi Leonard.
I had the Suns over the Clippers, even with Kawhi Leonard playing. I mean, they're just the deeper team. But what I'm saying is, if you're down 0-2, I don't think it would make sense to bring Kawhi back. And then even if he does come back, the toll it would take on. I mean, we saw it last year, Jeff, with the Nuggets, diba? Down 3-1 in the first round, clawed all the way back, won it in Game 7. Down 3-1 in the second round, clawed all the way back, won it in Game 7 against the Clippers. But then what happened when they met the Lakers? Not only were the Lakers the better team that last season, but then we saw guys just break down. We saw Jamal Murray break down during the series. He got hurt.
Migs, I gotta disagree. I gotta disagree with that, because simply it's not like the Suns are blowing out the Clippers by 50 or 60 points. This is not the Heat Bucks series where we can definitively see that, bringing back a person won't make much of an impact. They could have won game 2. They actually should have won game 2. They did everything right. Hit the big shots down the stretch. Paul George was great. Beverly, Reggie Jackson was making incredibly well contested shots. Booker, I mean, no one of the Suns apart from Ayton and Payne really were clicking. And in game 1, that was more of the same thing. So the Clippers are really, the way it's panning out, the Clippers really have something here. And I would, if I'm Ty Lue, I'm bringing back Kawhi Leonard. This is a golden opportunity for us to capitalize on something that we see and bring back our ace guy and bring it to the Phoenix Suns in game 3. This is a golden opportunity. I don't understand why you wouldn't try, if you're Kawhi Leonard at the very least, have that competitive fire and say, all right, I'm coming back in. I'm going to shut down D-Book on one end, or Pat Bev will do that for me, and I'm going to drop 30 or 40 in game 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because Kawhi Leonard can do that. We've seen him do that in the finals when he led Toronto all the way to their first ever championship. He did it in the Eastern Conference Finals against a loaded Milwaukee Bucks team. So we as NBA fans also deserve to see what the Clippers are, or what chances the Clippers have with Kawhi Leonard on the floor. Same with the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul on the floor. That kind of evens it out. Because if you look at this with the Clippers, just with Paul George, it's just a Paul George team. And there's a humongous asterisk, I feel. If the Suns would even win it, sans Kawhi Leonard, this is such a huge asterisk. And I don't think the Suns want to go out that way either.
I mean, of course they do want to beat a 100% Clippers team. I mean, beat a Clippers team which is at 100%. But then a win's a win. A series. Exactly. I mean, they didn't seem to mind that they beat the Lakers without AD and a couple other guys. Yeah. Right. I mean, but the thing here, Jeff, is that even with Kawhi back, I don't see the Clippers having the edge over the Suns, especially when you have a healthy Chris Paul. And then I mean, the Suns are just the better team. I think they're better coached, and then their chemistry is just better in the sense that you have guys who are locked in to playing very specific roles. Now with the Clippers, you still have a logjam at the point guard. You don't know if Kawhi comes back, what does that mean for Paul George? What would that mean for Reggie Jackson? I mean, and the fact of the matter is, Jaffa, and this is another wrinkle to this situation, is that this is the second year of Kawhi Leonard's contract with the Clippers. The third year for next season it's a player option for him. So I mean, if I'm Kawhi Leonard, would I risk going out? Playing during the Western Conference Finals, risking injury when I have a player option for next season, and then just.
So the biggest question that needs to be asked, Migs. The biggest question that needs to be asked, and what we probably all want to know is, so how serious is the injury? I think that's the biggest question that needs to be answered, because
you never know with Kawhi.
I know, but what I'm trying to understand with Kawhi Leonard is, so is it an ACL tear or is it a knee bruise? If it's a knee bruise, slap some ice on that bitch and get back on the court. Kawhi Leonard, to me, my good, is like such a drama queen sometimes. And I forgive me don't forgive me, I don't care. I have to say this because he's the one he's the one superstar to me that really doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck what the fans think. He doesn't give a fuck what the coaches think. He doesn't tweet about anything. So you can't get mad at him for anything. He doesn't go out on social media. So no bashers. No, you can't get on this guy for anything. Which is fine. But the funny thing about Kawhi Leonard to me is that he's one of the guys who is the epitome of load management. I'm going to take a couple of games off. I don't care. Because when the playoffs come, I'm going to be ready. Now, here's my biggest question with this and what you just said. Here's my biggest problem with it. So Kawhi Leonard goes and sits down. Again, you have such a golden opportunity. Recall when Kawhi Leonard was still playing. They actually beat the Mavs twice. It's not like they lost when Kawhi Leonard was playing. It's not like there were chemistry problems when Kawhi Leonard was playing. Kawhi Leonard had back-to-back really good games. And he had a 45-point masterpiece against the Dallas Mavericks. So, and then fast forward to the Utah Jazz. I don't think he played that much. I don't think he even played at all, to my recollection. But, again, this is the problem. So what is your injury? How bad is it? We all want to know. And will you be able to show up in Game 3? Again, it's a golden opportunity for the Clippers as a franchise to capitalize. Because, they were not blown out. They almost won Game 2. They're doing something right because the Phoenix Suns, for all their depth, they should be blowing them out. They should be ahead by 30 points. They should be ending this game on a wild, going a mad streak and lead by 50. But they haven't. And the Clippers, pound for pound, matchup per matchup, bring Kawhi Leonard in there, and you have something. Because, if you bring Kawhi Leonard back, that puts Pat Bev on Chris Paul, that puts Paul George on Devin Booker, and switch out, or you can have Kawhi Leonard on Devin Booker. So now you're trying to offset. And that makes sense for the Clippers to do. My biggest point here is, number one, if you're Kawhi Leonard, at what point, the biggest question is, okay, how bad is the injury? Do you have an ACL tear, or is it a knee sprain? Because now it's a knee sprain. If it's a knee sprain, every athlete knows, slap some ice, you're good. If it's a knee sprain, second, get on the damn court and let's see some Kawhi Leonard. Let's see some nasty from Kawhi Leonard. Take the Clippers do with the Clippers what you were brought in there to do, and do with the Clippers what you did in Toronto. That's just my whole point. Make us as NBA fans, don't let us go into the offseason thinking what if. Because right now it's a big what if. What if Kawhi Leonard played? That's my only problem with it. And I don't understand from a financial or a player's perspective why, if you're Kawhi Leonard, you choose to sit this out. That makes no sense. You're probably, it's not like you can turn on and off, but you can just, in one season, I'll go ahead and take my team to the Western Conference Finals and I'll get there. This is such an opportunity for them. I feel like it's such a waste if he doesn't play at all. And knowingly, as a fan, that it's a knee sprain or whatever, or a knee bruise, Man up!
Yeah, play.
The block!
Yeah.
What the
I mean,
fuck?
I want him to play.
Saying.
I want him to play, but here's another thing, diba? I mean, you have Chris Paul coming back. I mean, what does that mean for Game 3?
It makes such a huge. It makes a big difference to me. And I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you on Chris Paul coming back. I'm just saying I don't want to go into the offseason with what ifs if you're the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard, because it's coming off as if you're Kawhi Leonard, you're like, what are you? Not even Jordan, LeBron here. Like you're trying to go above the GOAT conversation now and say when I want to, it'll happen. It doesn't happen like that. You're not that good. We saw it in the bubble last year. You couldn't get past the Denver Nuggets. They came back against your ass down 3-1. So if you're Kawhi Leonard, the Suns matchup-wise looks good. The team without you got close, lost by 6, 114-120 in Game 1, and lost by 1 yesterday or a couple of days ago in Game 2. This is what I'm saying, or really to get my point across. If you're Kawhi Leonard, you're watching from home, you're seeing the gaps in the defense. You're seeing the problems, the matchups. These are winnable games. They should have won like a Game 2 if Paul George made those 2 free throws, but we got to move on from that. And again, if you're Kawhi Leonard, you're seeing what this team is doing without you and knowing what it can with you spells such a big difference. And Chris Paul coming back as well can see that. The biggest thing if you're the Clippers right now and if you're Kawhi Leonard is to not go into the offseason wondering what if. Wondering that what if Kawhi Leonard didn't play. That's the biggest thing for me, Langgid. Like, don't do that to yourselves because you're here for the first time in your franchise history. You have a chance to make it, to give yourself the King of LA throne. And I know that's why you don't want Kawhi Leonard to come back. Admit it. That's why you don't want Kawhi Leonard to come back. You don't want to be the King of LA throne.
I mean, again, Jeff, I mean, he does have injury history on his lower body. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And then not to sound like a broken record, that it is frustrating that everyone else is being kept in the dark. Like there's total media blackout on this thing.
Exactly.
And then but then again, I mean, credits to the Suns. I mean, credits to the Suns because they withstood 2 games without their most important player. It was a heck of a play call from Monty Williams. I mean, diba, I think you heard the soundbite, diba? Now when he said, you're DeAndre, I mean, if you get it up top, diba, you're going to try to dunk it.
You got to dunk it. You got to try to dunk it, yeah.
And for the Suns to have, I mean, it's such a luxury for the Suns to have swept their second round series because they had so much time to refresh, to rejuvenate. Yeah. And then, it's such a luxury for the Suns that Cam Payne is having such a career playoffs that, you could afford, like, not maxing out Chris Paul. I mean, unless you need to. I mean, but the thing is, Chris Paul's coming, barring any complications with this COVID tests, Chris Paul will be back for Game 3. And then, I'm of the opinion that, if the Suns win Game 3, like, and it doesn't matter if they won. It doesn't matter if they win by 1 or they have to go to triple overtime. As long as the Suns win Game 3, it's over. I mean, they're going to the finals.
I mean,
I just don't.
There's probably no player active right now in the playoffs that deserves to win more than Chris Paul.
Yeah,
and that's something that could happen definitely. Which leads me to kind of switch gears here and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals matchup. Hawks, Bucks. It was a very heavyweight kind of fight because they were just going back and forth. Neither team could really stop the other, but in the end, the Hawks prevailed by 3, 116-113, if I'm not mistaken. Trae Young having a game of a lifetime as well, 48 points, which is a playoff career high. I also think that is his overall career high. I could be wrong here, but it was so Trae Young had such a great start. The Hawks ran. So 2 things that I'm really impressed by. Number 1, the Hawks run an offense where they peel Jrue Holiday off of Trae Young a lot and have him switch off onto Pat Connaughton. On the other end, Nate McMillan does such a terrific job of hiding Trae Young on defense, wherein he's always matched up to Pat Connaughton, and the Hawks would rather keep switching it off of Trae Young and keeping him on Connaughton rather than having him switch off and defend anybody else. Because if it was anybody else, you'd know it's a post-up. They're trying to body Trae Young. They're trying to get him into the post. And I give the Hawks a lot of credit because they did these things to a T. And the Bucks looked a little like they looked shocked, like, wow, we just lost to the Hawks, a team that for the better part of the last couple of years, they bested on nearly every occasion. What were your key insights from this game? What were your key takeaways? And what went super wrong for the Bucks here?
First of all, I love the game. I mean, it was a fun game.
Back and forth.
And I have to bounce off back from what I saw during the Bucks Net series. Like the Hawks, I think recognized and realized, just as the Nets did, that if you hang around with the Bucks, if you hang around, like hover within like 10 points long enough,
you have a chance.
You're gonna because eventually the offense is gonna sputter. Eventually, because the offense is just so predictable, and then they don't have a lot of off. I mean, if they can't give it to Giannis, like on the first pass, like the offense becomes so predictable because then it's just Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton trying to improvise and go ISO. And then I think the Hawks will recognize that. Yeah.
The one thing that I really like that the Bucks did a lot of down the stretch was they didn't do what you just said. They actually ran a lot of this. It was almost like a 3-man wave pick and roll. So one screen, two screen, three screen, and then Giannis lobbed the rim. I think they did that like 3 or 4 straight times. It was so much fun to watch. They got like 3 lobs to Giannis, and I was like, how do you not know?
I mean, they didn't do it in the clutch, but then they do it during very long stretches in the game where
but the thing is, I'm saying, they did that earlier. That's the thing. Like they ran this set, so they called timeout twice. On both occasions, they ran the same set where they would lob it to Giannis. In transition, they wouldn't go ISO Giannis. They'd actually run this set play as well, where it's like Middleton comes out from a down screen set by Giannis. Giannis sets a rescreen, and there's a handoff between him and Holiday. Giannis sets a screen. Holiday goes in. And then it's a lob. I'm like, wow. Wow. So the Hawks, though, did such a great job of limiting Chris Middleton, who shot 6 for 23. Drew Holiday made up for the poor shooting night by dropping 30. I think he went 13 for 24 in this game. But that's where a lot of the Bucks' problems lie. And I saw it right from when I saw this stat. I thought, here's an interesting problem because in situations where you need Middleton to be hot consistently, he missed the game tying go ahead 3, and Drew Holiday is not necessarily the best. You signed Drew Holiday because he's a great 2-way player. He's a great playmaker, not necessarily a good shooter, but he's like an apex level defender. I really wish that he kind of would have fought over those screens a little bit, because Trae Young, to me, you kind of want to bait him into shooting that deep ball.
Oh yeah,
because he will take it. That's the thing. Like I noticed with Trae Young, he's gonna take it. Like, they did this really well towards the end. Yeah.
I mean, Bill Simmons made a great point. Like he looks at Trae, and the comparison is Trae Young, Steph Curry, but he's trying to make a case that Trae Young is more like Steve Nash, just because of the way he gets other guys going. But the difference with Trae Young is that, like, he's not the type of. I mean, he's not. When you look at the percentages, he does not shoot a high percentage from 3 because of the volume that he takes.
That's the thing.
Because of the volume. Go ahead.
So the Bucks did this really well towards the end, which I thought was really smart. And if you're Holiday and Budenholzer, I'm praying you saw this. Keep going under the screen and let Young shoot it. He's actually double the danger if you let him drive and shoot that floater. And if you let him drive and create for others, it's actually more dangerous. Because he did this 3 or 4 straight times down the stretch, and he missed all 3 or 4 attempts. They were deep threes. And I thought, he's gonna take it. Like he's too, for me, Trae Young, I'm a big fan of Trae Young. I love that he's like a villain in the NBA. I just get annoyed sometimes with a little bit of the cockiness. It's what you want to see in an NBA player nowadays. You just want to piss someone off. But he kind of gets in his own head sometimes, where he's too much of the belief that he'll make these kind of shots. Down the stretch, I thought the Bucks, the Hawks got a lot more loose balls. There was a possession there where the Hawks got 4 straight rebounds, and I thought like this is game. And they were up by 4, but this is game because it made it 110, 111, and John Collins is a corner 3. But every other possession before that, they would go under. Connaughton would like back off and shoot it. The problem with Trae Young is he will like okay, he will.
That Collins 3, ba? That John Collins 3, it was one of those plays na, diba, they got all those offensive rebounds, and I was like, and then when Collins caught it in the corner, I was like, oh yeah, of course this is gonna go in.
It has to.
Like, it has to. It somehow works like that in basketball, no? It's always the hardest working teams are always the luckiest because the ball is always gonna bounce your way. But back to my Trae Young point, ba, is that I think he's only shooting like 34% from 3 this year.
He's not actually the best 3-point shooter. That's the thing.
Like and that's his. They're similar. Luka Doncic and Trae Young are like in that way. In that, like we somehow think of them as shooters because they make all those big shots. But I mean, sometimes it's not how much you make; it's when you make them. And they always make the big shots. But when you think about it, Trae Young, because of the volume that he shoots and because of how he shoots it, it's always off an ISO. It's always off a pick and roll. It's never catch and shoot. It's never him coming off a curl. So, I mean, and the great thing about Trae Young is that he knows that when he gets into the paint, he's a threat, and he doesn't just go. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't just go into the paint like shoots a couple of floaters and then goes back out, shoot threes. He's the type of player that keeps attacking you in the paint until you make an adjustment.
He's actually more dangerous to me in the paint than he is from 3. I genuinely believe that. And the reason why I say this is because I've followed a lot of Trae Young's career since his Oklahoma days. And I've always noticed that he's a highlight 3-point shooter. Yeah. What I mean by that is the reason why Trae Young captivates or really captures your attention is because he can make these long-range bombs. The problem also with Trae Young is he takes a lot of these long-range
volume.
Bombs. It's not the best shot. It's his favorite shot. This is where I feel like is the next evolution of Trae Young, which will make him utterly dangerous. And it's a Steph Curry evolution. If he starts running off of screens better, if he starts coming off of these peel down screens or these pin down screens, and he starts shooting them at a higher clip, he's actually nearer the 3-point line than he is from distance. That's the next level because between Steph Curry and Trae Young, Steph Curry is like, you do not, at any given point in time, leave him alone. You do that, it's always cash money wherever he is on the floor. With Trae Young, I feel like there's still a limitation to his game where you actually can take certain risks. But who are we to say? I mean, he killed the Bucks in Game 1. It was absolutely. He had 48 points. It was crazy.
And you think with all those like with the ball with the amount of shots that he takes, he still shot 50% in this game, 17 for 34. Yeah. So when you think about it, that's still very good. Huh? Only 4 of 13 from 3, but then all those he made up for it with all those floaters.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we gotta say about Trae Young. He's actually a lot more dangerous in the paint.
Yeah.
He shot 4 for 13. Let him shoot 4 for 13 from 3.
Yeah.
If he has to take 20 shots from 3, let him. He's gonna take it. Like he's not gonna be afraid. That's the thing.
That's why I love how like the Hawks built this team around Trae Young because again, and we talked about this last episode. You have Clint Capella and John Collins, who are just, especially Clint Capella, like just the absolute lob threat, pick and roll threat. Every time he comes off the pick, I mean every time he rolls to the basket. I'm sorry. And then you have John Collins,
good screener. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have John Collins who came into the NBA as just uber athletic, small ball center. Yeah. But now he's stroking it from the outside, and then that lob off the glass from Trae Young, and that was
highlight
amazing.
Material.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And then
stuff.
And then I mean, if you look at if you compare the Bucks offense to the Hawks offense, like where the Bucks offense is very predictable, where in the Bucks offense you can afford to hide like your worst defender on guys like PJ Tucker, because
Right.
you know that PJ Tucker is just gonna hide in the corner, which was what the Hawks did. Diba? They tried to hide
Yeah.
Trae Young and PJ Tucker at times.
Yeah.
Like the Hawks offense is just a lot more fluid. And with the Hawks, you can't hide anyone on defense with the Hawks because everyone's a threat. Everyone can score. Like not okay. Okay, you have Trae Young up top, but then you have Danilo and Bogdanovic. I mean, I know Danilo's not like he's a much older version of himself now, but he can
Yeah.
still keep it going. I mean, he was such a huge part of that run in Game 7 against the Sixers. And then we know what Bogdanovic can do. I mean, John Collins. I mean, credit to the Hawks and na they're really quick to spot mismatches and then take advantage of those mismatches. I mean, they did that to Seth Curry, and they did that this game when when they somehow found like Drew Holiday guarding John Collins. And when they found that, like John Collins would immediately seal like Holiday down low, and he just go up for a hook and then or a dunk. I mean, we sometimes think that Nate McMillan is just a defensive coach because of those
Right.
great Pacers teams that played terrific defense. But then, I mean, the offense is humming right now. It's like a well-oiled
The
machine right
offense
now.
the offense looks really good for the Atlanta Hawks. And again, I give a lot of
Everyone's a
credit to
threat.
Nate McMillan. Yeah, because I think there was a stat earlier that was posted, I could be wrong here. There was like 35-14 since Nate McMillan took over. And I think he's doing what Steve Kerr is doing with Stephen Curry almost.
Yeah.
Hiding him on defense, letting him work the offense the way he would want, and just taking better overall shots. Trae Young is
And
a
Jeff,
very creative scorer. Yeah.
just one more thing about the Bucks ba? I mean, is the offense that bad na when you need a crucial three, like your best option is like Pat Connaughton, who shot an air ball? I
I
mean,
thought that was a mistake.
that
I
was
thought that was
so
a legit
terrible. And
mistake.
then,
And I think Pat
I
Connaughton should have
mean,
taken that shot. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I get you're
I
open,
mean,
but
you
Brook
look
Lopez
at.
was
I
also
mean,
open. Yeah.
I was kind of wondering why they didn't bring back Bobby Portis in the fourth quarter.
He
I
played
think he
great.
played really
He played
well.
great.
And John Collins, ba? I mean, credit to him too because just his presence long now as a lob threat, it
Uh,
freezes the defense. It confuses the defense because you can't. You're caught in an island between what do you want to overhelp on Trae Young? Do you want to collapse on Trae Young, or do you want to hang
right,
back and then prevent the lob and then the Trae Young's just gonna floater you to death?
right.
I mean,
So,
uh,
so that's the thing. Like, now this is where two key people come into mind here, really, because for the Bucks, the Bucks lineup would go Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, PJ Tucker, Lopez, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Where it could go Antetokounmpo, PJ Tucker, Middleton, Dante DiVincenzo, and Drew Holiday. Dante DiVincenzo is a very, very good perimeter defender, and I feel like if Dante DiVincenzo is playing in the playoffs, the impact that he would have is pretty intense. Because again, we're talking about a grade A perimeter defender and a guy who is also a decent. He's kind of like a Drew Holiday, but is like a white version or not so good version of Drew Holiday. You know what I mean? But it's pretty decent on the offensive end as well. And on the flip side, these Atlanta Hawks, they have another level they can get to because they are not playing with two key guys in DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish. People forget these two are very good. These are very good players. Don't trip. DeAndre Hunter, who's supposed to be the Eastern Conference version of a Kawhi Leonard, and Cam Reddish, who was brought in as a rookie being drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. He was brought in to be like their pseudo scorer to support Trae Young. So right now, both these teams are playing without a bunch of key players who, in one way or another, are a great impact. But the Bucks have their guys. We can't complain about that for the Bucks. They have Drew Holiday. They have Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have Chris Middleton. Tucker and Lopez are key pieces that surround them. For the Hawks, same thing. You have Capella. You have Collins. You have Young, Bogdanovic. You have Gallinari. You have key guys coming off the bench in Lou Williams. So for me, this is the one This is the one playoff matchup so far that neither team can go and say what if, because this is the one thing that's become annoying as a narrative throughout these NBA playoffs. A lot of people are speculating, what if LeBron and AD played together? What if, again, in the Western Conference, what if
everyone was healthy?
What if Jamal Murray? Yeah, it's become such a narrative and an annoying one at that. Where in the Eastern Conference, what if Joel Embiid didn't have a meniscus tear? What if, who did the Hawks play in the second round? Or sorry, but the Nets. What if Kyrie Irving didn't go out? What if James Harden didn't play with a grade 2 hamstring strain? There's the what ifs are piling up, and it's just like there's such a looming asterisk on the season that I don't like as an NBA fan. But the Hawks and the Bucks, if you lose this, I feel like that's gonna be tough, because this is a good chance for you as well to move to the finals. But the Hawks are so predictable. I have them winning in 6.
Really?
The reason is because they're so unpredictable. Like, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, at first I thought, okay, Drew Holiday might clamp this guy. So Drew Holiday did not clamp this guy, but he did go off for 30 points. Now, in the previous series, we thought Ben Simmons would clamp this guy, but Ben Simmons was an absolute dud. We thought that the Knicks would clamp this guy, but the Knicks couldn't do jack about Trae Young's offensive repertoire. So,
the sometimes the obvious answer to Trae Young is, we have to play him physical. We have to force him one way.
You're not playing him physical though.
How can you play physical with someone you can't even catch, diba? You can't even you can't touch him because he's so quick, and then his ball handling. I have to say this, Jaffa. Like, Trae Young's ball handling is elite in the sense that he doesn't hop off the floor every time he makes a move. Like, you understand what I'm saying, diba? Like, sometimes when we cross over, like, we skip, diba? We skip. Yeah. Trae Young doesn't do that. Like, he maintains contact with the floor, and it makes it so much easier for him to change directions. I mean, and then I tried. I mean, I saw a video of him. Like, someone broke down how Trae Young dribbles and how he maintains contact with the floor. I mean, it is not easy. I mean, I think the natural instinct is just to skip every time we have the ball between our legs. I mean, he doesn't, and he's so low to the floor. I mean, it's
great ball handling. But I'll say this,
how do you play him?
A key thing that because we liken Steve Nash, Trae Young, Stephen Curry, we put them in the same breath because they played all three of these players right now have deserved that. Especially for Trae Young, he's deserved to be mentioned in that breath, and for all the right reasons. So the Cavs in 2016 did such a good job of this. Their offense did not stop until they found Steph Curry on LeBron James or Steph Curry on Kyrie Irving. I thought that was for Ty Lue to go out and say, every time down the floor, whoever has Steph on them, you're the one setting the screen, because we will force them to switch Steph off on either Kyrie or LeBron. And it happened time and time and time and time again. That was the game plan. They got Steph tired. And as the biggest, one of the biggest Phoenix Suns fans and Steve Nash fans out there in the world, I saw this time and time again with the goddamn San Antonio Spurs. I saw this time and time again. Greg Popovich goes into the press conference and say, we got to cut off the head of the snake. Whatever, Pop. The Lakers did such a great job of this toward the end of Nash's tenure in Phoenix. They hunted him down. They forced him to play defense. And ultimately, a guy can only do so much. You know what I mean? A guy can only do so much. The problem that I'm seeing along with a lot of these teams is that they're not really doing that against Trae Young. Matter of fact, they kind of stop. So they get Trae, and Trae Young's like, again, I got annoyed. Like, okay, he's guarding Pat Connaughton. There's no action to get Pat Connaughton involved with the offense at all. And they're just kicking out to him for threes. I'm like, use the guy, for Christ's sake. Like, come on, get him to set a screen. Get him to get Trae Young to defend a little bit, right? So, and the Warriors, their counter was they'd send a double from the weak side to hell. But that was terrible because then you'd be leaving Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, and it would be like just making it rain all day long. And I thought that was big. The Hawks, lots of credit. I have them winning this in 6. I just don't know. The Bucks are so like, I don't know. I think they took a shot in the mouth, and I don't know how they'll come back and make it out of it alive, right? Shifting gears from this conference to the Western Conference picks.
Rough.
What are we looking for? What can we look forward to in game number 3? We talked a lot about the Clippers and the Suns earlier, but what can we look forward to in game number 3? Clippers, Suns. What can we tell them? The fans, the people watching.
Okay. Very happy for Chris Paul. I mean, as much as I mean, again, I fear him because I respect him. And like very happy for him. Like he has right now a very realistic chance of making the finals. And then I'm just thinking that the Suns will not make the same mistake the Mavs and the Jazz did, where you can't give the Clippers any sense of hope and any belief in themselves that they can win this.
True.
Like you have, like, they're down right now. Keep them down. Like you have your foot on their necks. Like break their necks, man. Like stomp the life out of them.
Remember,
like you can't afford. Yeah.
Keep in mind that in the Dallas series, in game 3, in Dallas of all places, the Clippers were down 27 points, I think. If I'm not mistaken. The Clippers were down by a lot in game 3, and they went on went on one hell of a run, not only to end that game, but to begin game 4, and they stole 2 in Dallas. So, just don't count out these Clippers, man. Like, I have the Suns winning this series too, but the Clippers are like, so it's a flip side for me right now. So the Clippers are kind of the dark horse here because, I mean, it's just Paul George. I mean, how far can Paul George really take this crappy team? The Suns are a great team, but this Clippers team is shit without Kawhi Leonard. Pat Bev? Reggie Jackson? Okay,
yeah, I mean, the Suns, like, the Suns have to tell themselves, okay, Terrence Mann, good story, but no, that's the end of it right now. Terrence Mann
hasn't been shit the last couple of games.
Like, you're not going to be, like, you're not going to be a factor in the series. Reggie Jackson, great playoff run. No, you're not going to be a factor in the series.
That's
like,
what they're
Paul George, do you, but you're going to be the only guy who's probably going to go off. I mean,
but I gotta give the credit.
The Suns have the opportunity here, so they have to take advantage, take full advantage of it. Sweep them if you have to. Diba? You're going to give them a chance.
I 100% agree because, again, if there's any person who also deserves a championship, it's Chris Paul. As much as I've been annoyed by, because I'm not really annoyed by Chris Paul. I feel so bad because during the biggest run by the Houston Rockets, where I really, really wanted Chris Paul to knock out the Golden State Warriors. He pulled, I think, a hamstring, and they lose Game 6. They lose Game 7.
All downhill from there.
It was so bad. I was like so pissed. But so Chris Paul now moves on to the Phoenix Suns. Again, if there's any player who deserves a championship, it's definitely Chris Paul. And the Suns have a golden opportunity here. But this Clippers team is so like they've been so mentally tough and so resilient, despite their lineups looking really, really awkward and weird. They feel a lineup of Batum, George, Beverly, Jackson, and Man, or that would be Batum, George, Beverly, Reggie Jackson, and Rajon Rondo. Like, what the hell is going on here? There's so many point guards on the floor. It's crazy. Why are you all so short? It's ridiculous. And credit to Paul George. Whether they win this series or they don't, which most likely I feel like they won't if Kawhi Leonard doesn't come back. If Kawhi Leonard comes back, they have a chance. But I give him so much credit for taking the Clippers as far as humanly possible. And the pandemic P signs and slogans, they're done. Ladies and gentlemen, put that nickname to rest. Because I feel like Paul George has definitely earned Pfizer P, according to my friend Joseph Carlo Villarreal. He's definitely earned that nickname. Who do we have winning Game 3?
I'm going Suns all the way. I mean, again, barring anything that goes wrong with Chris Paul's COVID tests, I mean, I have to go Suns.
Barring Kawhi Leonard making any kind of comeback, it's going to be super close. For me, that's because they're both impact players, whether we would like to recognize that or not. Barring any kind of comeback, definitely gonna be the Suns because if Chris Paul's there, I just don't. I wouldn't understand how the Clippers would be able to guard that. But yeah, also have to remember, like sometimes it's good when somebody's not there because now this takes away from Cameron Payne's productivity. This takes away from what type of game Cameron Payne has been able to, run with the Phoenix Suns. But let's see. It's going to be an interesting game 3. But again, barring a Kawhi Leonard comeback, this definitely looks like it'll go to Phoenix. And at this point of the program is the $1 million question sponsored by Showrooms, your go-to home finding website program for anything home related in the Queen City of the South. Biggs, here's a $1 million question. Now, we talked a lot about Chris Paul deserving a lot of, well, really, he's the one player right now active who deserves to win MVP. Oh, no, sorry. Who deserves to win an NBA championship. Here's the question. Throughout NBA history, who's the biggest should have won an NBA championship?
Oh, should have won.
Should've won.
It's a lot, no? There's a lot.
And came close. There are a lot, but who's your biggest whatever?
I think one of the more painful ones that comes to mind, Elgin Baylor. If you remember, Elgin Baylor was on those Lakers teams, and they always got whooped.
And then when he left, they won.
Yeah, and then when he left, they won.
Tragic.
They went the 33-game winning streak, and they won, and then, that hurt. I mean, that you hurt for Elgin Baylor. Rest in peace.
Because Gail Goodrich comes in, and it's
But then, I'll try to take this by era. So Elgin Baylor, 60s, 70s, you can say that. In the 80s, all the legends, all the stars won in the 80s, diba? Because I don't know if you consider Dominique Wilkins in that. In that in that level.
I don't get. So Derek posted. I don't get the question. Like not after Jimmy Miller coming in. I haven't even answered the question yet. I don't.
So
what's the question? What I don't know what question he's trying to answer, but go on, Riggs.
Probably in the 80s, I mean, the Hawks were pretty good in the 80s, and I don't know if Dominic Wilkins was at that level with the Birds. I think, of course, he's not on the level of the Birds and the Magics and the Irvings and the Moses Maloons. So
the Maloons.
But in the 90s, in the Malones, the Moses Maloons.
You said Maloons.
I said Malones.
Okay.
But in the 90s, in Malones. Are we gonna make this a thing? Okay, I see.
No, it's not a thing.
But in the but in the 90s, I think the easy answer would be Reggie Miller. But I think it's more Patrick Ewing for me because I feel for the guy. Because I mean, the year that Michael isn't playing and your team is really good, and then you somehow run into Akeem Olajuwon and John Starks just keep shooting threes, doesn't make them, and Akeem blocks like that would have been a game-winning three.
Yeah,
and then I think Patrick Ewing gets tossed aside because all the other big guys in his generation won. Alonzo Mourning eventually won one. Akeem won 2 straight, and then
right. This is actually a good one. I'm really loving what he's throwing right now. I swear to God. I'm really loving what he's throwing right now. Okay, go ahead.
But can I say I wish Kenny didn't win one because that's all he had. Kenny Smith always finds a way na masingit ang fact that he won 2 with the Rockets. And he always finds a way to sneak that into the conversation. Kenny Smith, gets annoying.
He wasn't even that great a player. He's not even that great a player.
And in the 2000s, that Kings squad, I feel bad for that Kings team. Peja, Chris Webber, Bibby, Divac,
if
Doug
not
Christie,
for the Game 7
Bobby Jackson.
That was rigged.
Yeah.
That Game 7 was rigged. We now know.
That was bad.
God damn it, Laker fans. You know that game was rigged.
Was bad.
The referee ref that game. called it. He's not even denying it. That game was rigged. Go on.
And
You
then
know who
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
want to, Migs, you know who I did not want to win? The '08 Celtics, because they're so annoying.
oh yeah.
They rub that in the people's face. So
I
annoying.
think that should be the better question. Who do you not want to win?
Who did you not
Oh, eight
want to win?
Celtics, definitely.
'08 Celtics by a
And
mile.
then,
Like Kevin Garnett,
oh
I
hey,
love you, your career,
yeah.
but Jesus Christ. If I had
I
known
mean,
this, you'd be this annoying after one chip.
shit,
God.
man, they
Go
they
on.
they milk that for everything. It was,
They did.
and
They
then
did.
like we somehow forgot about Stockton Malone, but everyone talks about Stockton
T,
Malone.
this is my
Yeah,
answer. So Derek for all right, because we had to pick out the best. So as much as I love Steve Nash, Reggie Miller was actually one of my childhood heroes. Carmelo Anthony and Derrick Rose, their career is they're still playing, my good. So I can't really say that they're a big what if. But my biggest what if is actually, and Derek and I see the commercial all the time for meetthemailman.com.
oh
And I
yeah.
feel so bad because who wants to meet the mailman? I'm just saying. But Karl Malone, to me, here's a guy who it's hard if you're. He's kind of like Elgin Baylor, my good, in the sense that Elgin Baylor had it worse than Karl Malone because we talked about it earlier. He said, you said that he went through all those great Laker runs, and then when he left, they won, which is so much like, what was I the problem? Like, you kind of have to ask yourself, was I the problem? And then here comes Karl Malone, where him and Stockton go to the NBA Finals twice. They run into a really great Michael Jordan team, two great Michael Jordan teams. So Karl Malone and John Stockton, they go through the rest of their seasons. Finally, Karl Malone says, you know what? I want to end my career with a ring. I'll join the Lakers. You cannot, no person on earth can tell me, number one, that Lakers team was not a super team. No person on earth can also tell me, there's really not much to be said about that, but they run into what I thought was the biggest upset in NBA history to this day.
But if he was healthy though, but if Karl Malone was healthy
it did
though,
not matter to me. It did not matter. It did not matter.
oh, he was pretty good that
Detroit
season.
Pistons team, that Detroit Pistons team showed to everybody that if you believe, you can do anything. Migs,
I cried. I mean, Jam, I legit cried after Game 6.
when they lost.
Yeah.
Migs, that didn't reach Game 6. That only made Game 5.
I mean, Game 5.
Don't
Game
get it
5.
twisted
Sorry,
now.
Game 5.
Yeah. Migs, the Lakers had 4 Hall of Famers. Granted, again, Karl Malone was injured, but you still had Kobe and Shaq, Derek Fisher, and you had a great
Shaq.
bench. Fat Shaq or not, the years after that, he still went 26-10, Migs. So no Laker fan cannot give me that excuse, because. So here comes the Detroit Pistons team. They're not bad boys too, because the bad boys, again, I hate to break it to you 80s guys, this bad boy Pistons team, the one where you had like Lambeer, Isaiah Thomas, they didn't play as good a defense as the 04 Pistons team. The 04 Pistons team played incredible defense. They were the only team in NBA history, I could be wrong here, that held teams below 70 or 80 6-7 straight times. 6-7 different teams held them below a certain number of points. I think it was 80 or 70. That's incredible. And so they meet these powerhouse Lakers in the finals. Everybody was saying this was a sweep. They hit them in the face in game 1. The Lakers, off of an incredible shot by Kobe Bryant, take them to game 3, 4, and 5, where it was just it was like malice in the palace. The Detroit Pistons absolutely take them out in games 3, 4, and 5. I give them so much credit because they instilled a lot of belief in people. I have to admit. But going back to Karl Malone, that's why I felt so bad because, okay, so you made the shift from the Lakers, or from the Jazz to the Lakers, and still, it was like John Jones winning a heavyweight belt, and still, you can't get a chip. So, Karl Malone is my greatest, damn, that sucks, dude. Because And Steve Nash, a good player with a bad back. Reggie Miller, for all this trash talking, he made it 1 year with the Pacers, and then Tayshaun Prince blocks him, and then incredible chase down, and he goes off into the sunset. Melo and Rose are still playing, so we don't know if they'll win one or not. But yeah, Karl Malone, man, that sucks.
But Jeff, who's
and
the
Charles Barkley? JC, that's a good point. Yeah.
So who's the next? Like, who's this generation's Barkley or Malone or Stockton? Like, if you ask me, Damian Lillard has a chance to be this generation's Barkley, Malone.
That's exactly the same guy, because here's a guy who had loyalty. Here's a guy who carries his team year in and year out, and I feel like the Blazers, I don't know if the Blazers are doing him wrong. They're trying so hard to fit the right pieces, but it's just not working out. I feel bad for Damian Lillard because he plays great every year. Just that, like right now, okay, so the Suns are a better team than the Blazers, but arguably when it comes to what's on paper, there are definitely a lot better players than the Blazers. If I'm just talking about it on paper, So you have Lillard, McCollum, Powell, Anthony, and Nurkic. The Suns have Paul, Booker. Oh, yeah, they also have Rocco. So they have like a good team there, but the problem is they just can't get over the hump. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a coaching problem. And it's just weird how it never works out for them.
I think it's either going to be Damian Lillard or, I don't know, something just tells me that James Harden has the chance to be like, he's going to come close, but he's never going to win it. You know why? Because he's already 30, I think he's 31, 32 years old. And then there are some rumblings right now in the Nets camp. Now they're not happy with Kyrie Irving. No, I don't know. They might blow up that team sooner than we expect. So we never know.
I don't. If I honestly I had to pick between Harden or Irving, I'd pick Harden, and that's because Harden's such a offensive savant. Kyrie, you can go with Kyrie too. But I'm just saying, if you choose,
like Kyrie's,
but I'd choose Harden over Irving.
Kyrie's definitely the more expendable piece of the three.
True. Right. But I gotta go back to this comment though. It's so funny, right? So Barkley, because but yo, Joseph, I gotta say, even if Barkley did have one, I'm sure Shaq would still say, but I got 3 more than you. And the reason why this annoys me so much is because for all of so Shaq won 3 in LA, and then he got the 1 more and he rolled off a Dwayne Wade. Come on, that was a Dwayne Wade performance. It was probably the most fouled I've ever seen a player in my life. That was a ridiculous series. And Mark Cuban has every right to sort of be mad about that series. But Shaq really saying that I got he has a great point here. It's so annoying when Shaq says this, because it's like when he fails an argument, he's gonna go to this. He said, "I got more than you, Chuck." I can't even do it right. But it's just so annoying. Like, that's such a great point. But, you know. Man. All right. That does it for this Thursday's episode of NBA Front Row, the podcast. Migs, who do you have? Who do you want to give a shout out to? Go.
Oh, yeah. Grade, of course, Grade. Thank you for your support. I mean, thank you for Silly Q bringing it to Cebu, huh? Like allowing Cebuanos to sample Silly Q. Like, thank you, Quid.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then shout out to my dad who's gonna be celebrating his birthday this Saturday. Can't wait. It's all June, late June, and the whole month of July is always a busy month for my family for some reason, because it's like everyone celebrating a birthday.
Migs,
I don't know if it's the same for you.
I swear.
I did so much, man.
My mom, my sister, two of my aunts, myself, and I think there's like even a couple. There's like something that someone has a birthday. I remember there was like a year in my life where every week or every other day there was a birthday. I was like, oh, I didn't even know there was so many. There's so many birthdays in June. It's crazy.
So much weight is gained during July, for some reason. I mean, like, can we slow down with the letter? I sometimes find myself like actively avoiding the lechon. Like, can we slow down with the lechon? Huh? It's too much.
Is September like love-making month? Is September the love-making month? What happens in September?
Did you count that?
I was doing the math. Like, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So Is September or August lovemaking month, or what happens in these months? Why are there so many
Somehow.
June babies, man? That's insane. It's crazy. But
I mean,
so
it's too much food.
yeah,
Not that
but
we're
true.
complaining. Huh?
Of course not. Of course not. I want to give a mad shout out to Joseph Carlo Villarreal. Again, I really want to sit down with this guy, have a drink, and just talk hoops. I know again he's one of the biggest ball fans, but this is straight up good here. But you know who really wins Krispy Kreme? Because they've been getting free advertising simply because Chuck loves Krispy Kreme. And they win every time Chuck makes like a guarantee or something, or is just featured, or every time they just feature Chuck.
Yeah,
It's
Robinson.
absolute gold. Yeah. You know what's also troubling? Every time Chuck makes a guarantee, if you're a better, you go the other way. He's
Yeah.
like Stephen A. in the finals.
I mean, he's been weirdly consistent that way.
Exactly. It's like if I bet on the Hawks, bet on the Bucks, and then he said Bucks in 4. All of a sudden, the Hawks take game 1. Like, come on, man. Like, bet the other way. It's like a curse almost when he says it. So it's crazy. But again, I want to give a mad shout out to JC Villarreal. Can't wait to see you soon if ever you do get the chance. Big shout out to Quay Dilao, man. Your City Q is the bomb. I can't wait to order more of it. 3 actually. Sideline Sports Apparel PH. Y'all keep it fire, yo. Migs, I know you got your shirt. Popoy, if you're watching, we're gonna get you your shirt eventually. Order now. Order as many as you possibly can while stocks last. These are limited edition Independence Day June shirts. Y'all know where to go and y'all know how to get it. And finally, mad shout out to showroom.ph. Quality homes, quality prices. If you're looking for a home in the Queen City of the South, hit up your friendly neighborhood home finder. www.showroom.ph or facebook.com/theshowroomph. It's your boy Jaff. It's your boy Migs. We're coming back to you on Monday with more NBA action, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Again, it's your boy Jaff. It's your boy Migs. See you soon.